It is such a pleasure to interview Francis Xavier Aloisio, who's welcomed me into his beautiful new home today. Thank you, Francis.
Welcome, you're welcome.
Your output of information literally takes my breath away.
It almost did, no? That's good.
Well, you've written so many books, including The Age of Magic and Wisdom, as well as Islands of Dreams.
The New Temple Dreamers, The Age of Magical Wisdom, which we are passing now, this time. The Age of Magic and Wisdom, then the handbooks, then Islands of Dreams Speak. It's the collection of people's experience about the temples. Then I put also the temples through poetry and prose and painting, because I started as painter. Then I started writing later on in my life.
So you're an artist at heart. And I also want to mention the documentary you've made,
yes,
hopefully the first of many.
Yeah, I hope so.
Which is called Let the Stone Speak.
Let the Stone Speak, and it is the first documentary to actually make people that don't know anything about the temples of Malta an introduction to what these temples are about, and especially the connection of the temples to Atlantis.
Beautifully put. Thank you. And in terms of Malta's role...
Malta?
Yes.
Where is Malta?
Where is Malta? Tell us about Malta.
Oh, tell us about Malta. Well, I was born here on this rock in the center of the Mediterranean. There are three islands, Malta, Gozo, and Comino, exactly in the center of the Mediterranean, between Gibraltar and Palestine, and Lebanon, and between Italy and Libya, in the center. Malta attracted everybody that was anybody in the world of history, culture, civilization, empires. Everybody landed on this land. Before the land was islands, Malta was in the center of the land, because this is called Mediterranean Sea later on. But before the sea came into the basin, it was mountaintops. And Malta was in the center of the land. That's why it's called Mediterra. And these three mountaintops were in the center of this hub. So it was in the fulcrum of what was there. And that's why Malta then was attracted by the star beings that landed here to start the project of building the temples.
You liken Malta to the solar plexus of the planet.
Okay, yes, I said the solar plexus. There are two solar plexuses in the world. The northern hemisphere is Malta. So solar plexus and the pancreas. And the Earth's core, Australian rock. Earth's rock. In Australia is the southern hemisphere solar plexus. So the Earth's rock in Australia is the southern hemisphere, Malta is the northern hemisphere, which is the emotional thinking. So Malta is the emotional creator of the creator. Malta is the emotional motor that keeps things going. Everything that we have got that starts before entering into the heart and into the mind, it comes from what the English call that gut feeling. The first feeling that you have is that gut feeling. You feel it here and you know it. And Malta is that. But also, it's also the solar plexus and the pancreas, which means it assimilates, takes on all the rubbish, all the thinking, all the problems of the world around it, churn them into this solar plexus, and what it does, the pancreas, it creates life again out of rubbish. So it's an incinerator, then burns it, and then creates life. So Malta was an important part in the pulse of the earth, which is still today, doing the same thing through the process of look of what we take. We're taking what's going on in Libya, what's going on in Morocco, what's going on in Egypt, Israel, going in Greece, going in Italy. Malta is in the center, assimilate all these negative energies, turns them into the solar plexus, into its pancreas, and creates life.
That's a big job for a small island.
It is. It's a small island with a big heart, I tell you. Although solar plexus, not the heart.
I get it. Is that why it has more sacred sites than anywhere else in the world per capita?
Per capita, for the amount of square miles that we have got here, it's incredible how many temple sites there are. And which comes to the question why they have so many on these temples. That was my research that I went to actually express in my books the purpose of all these things. The Malta was picked because of this center point, Mediterranean, because of its energy vortex, strong, powerful, strong ley lines. One day I will show you the ley line map of Malta, which I send you, and so on. It's incredible ley lines that pass through these islands. Comino has got its own powerful energies, although the smallest island is the most powerful, because Comino has got the impulse, was infused with wisdom and enlightenment. Malta was infused with power. And you could feel it. Malta is all power, confusion, building, noise. You go to Gozo, you come to Gozo, here it's love and joy. And the countryside and the people and the atmosphere is that. Then you have got Comino, wisdom and enlightenment. The two, power on its own is destructive. Love and joy are not going to create anything. Comino is the wisdom and enlightenment to bring these two in balance so it can create with love.
And as above, so below, right? So we are microcosms of that macrocosm. As
above, so below, so in the center.
So in terms of the ley lines and where Malta is on Earth's grid, can that be correlated to the acupuncture points or the meridians, which are used in acupuncture or acupressure on the human body? How does that interface?
You're right. Sort of you have got, if one day we can do a map of a flat earth of all the sacred sites on earth, you start to realize that these are the meridian points. As there are the meridians, there are also chakras. So you have got the main chakras, and then you have got the meridian points, what the Chinese call the meridian points. So you have got main structures, main sites as a chakra sites, and then you have got minor sites, which are the meridians. But they are as important as the chakras, the meridians. Because then through the meridians there is the flow. When you go to a Chinese acupuncturist, he deals with one meridian and you feel that energy passing through your body even up to your toes. Because now it passes through the ley lines. So the ley lines are highways of energy that is pulsating around the earth. And both ley lines are generally like our car tracks, are moving electromagnetic, yin and yang, masculine and feminine, because there is a flow and there is a movement. So all around the earth, we have got these meridians and these chakras. In Malta, in such a small place, they are all concentrated in one small place. So this is huge here. That pulsating vortexes, meridians, and ley lines. And you have got then huge temple structures that are holding those meridians.
And that would suggest to me that Earth is sentient.
Of course then. But sentient is like now it's coming into our in our discussion, because if you look at what we have done up to now to Mother Earth, is because we don't see that the animals, that the trees, that the stones are sentient. So we went and cut and destruct. And what we are coming now, we have got a generation of young humans that are started to protest and protect the earth. Because we are started to realize that everything that we have got around us, from the innate stone to the rock, to the under ants, to the elementals, they are all sentient. They have got a purpose and they have got a consciousness, what we call the consciousness, because they are alive. Once they are alive, they have got sentient. Do they have a soul that goes to heaven and earth? Not even us. We don't go to heaven and earth. We have got consciousness, a soul that keeps us going. So also these sentient beings, the trees, the animals, the stones, the sea, the fish, and we can communicate with them.
And the sacred sites of Malta are also sentient?
Of course. Sort of one of the leading archaeologists, Sir Temis Amit, when they used to ask him questions that he couldn't answer, what about this temple site and so on? What is the, how long, how old, how? He used to say, let the stones speak. Listen to the stones. Because they are holding the story. They can tell us. Once you then connect in silence, in meditation, in quietness, like in the hypogeum, in the womb of the earth, you'll get the story. Their story, not the story that we impose on them. You know?
I know. So you're taking me to some sacred sites in Gozo today. We're going to Gigantia first.
Gigantia, we might go to the Ala Menhir. We have time to go to Taverna, so you see a big site and the abandoned site. And then to an open space called Tachange, where at Tachange, these star beings that landed on Malta came from Sirius. So they set up a communication center to keep connected with Sirius. So this is the center that connects the islands with Sirius, but also is a multi-dimensional, multi-beings conference center. They get together to discuss cosmos issues. This is huge, huh?
That's massive.
I tell you.
Wow, and I can't wait to see it. Gigantia, what is its primary function?
Okay, Gigantia, which in Maltese means giant. In Maltese, we have got two G's, one soft G and one harsh G. And Gigantia has got the twos, the first two G's. So it's Gigantia. It's a huge tower. It's the tower of the goddess. When the star beings landed, the first center that they built, the first site that they built was Scorba. Scorba is at Mjar on Malta. But the first site that they finished was Gigantia. And Gigantia is huge, is massive. The stones they speak to themselves. And it is the mind chamber. As the hypogeum is the creative chamber, connecting with Mother Earth, where the sleeping goddess on the right-hand side, like Buddha, connects with the Mother Earth to give you ideas what to create. So what we are doing now is we create through our thinking. What comes to our mind, we can create. But it was Gigantia, the mind chamber, that gave them the form, the idea, what to create, how to create it, more than to. So Gigantia was also where the Queen of Atlantis used to go to connect with the beyond. Because these people, like what we do, we have either Skype or mobile to connect with our family in England or our family in the United States. These people had connection through these temples to connect with their home, where they came from. So Jgantia is powerful. There's so much in my handbook. I say so much about Jgantia because they had permanent fire, they had free energy, it was a healing spa where they could regenerate their cells, because they knew that every now and then our cells die and we need to regenerate. It was a health spa where they always held balance between their physical bodies and etheric bodies. So they went there to connect and to regenerate themselves. And the representative of Jgantia, the image that has got in the main temple, is the serpent. And the serpent it represents the regeneration. It sheds its own skin and creates a new one without losing its beingness. Just shed its own skin.
In visiting these sites, am I activating the sites or are they activating me? How does that work?
Doing both. One of the things that I started to do years ago, and I had to learn the process, and there's a protocol, is these were like a computer that hasn't been used for 12,000 years. So the temples were dormant for 12,000 years. It doesn't mean dormant that they lost the memory. What it means that you have to plug them in and reboot them and recharge them. So I had to do that with all the temples. My role, I was sent to do this, to connect with the temples, say thank you to the guides and the guardians that protected these sites for these thousands of years, and then reboot them, recharge them so they can start to be activated. And we started to realize that there is geometry, sacred geometry coming. Once they started to wake up in a way, the awakening start to show us a sacred geometry in them. So I had to do that. So today the temples are all charged or rebooted or active, and anybody that goes in, walks in, is going to be charged with that energy. So what you do, you connect with the temples. The temples now, the role is to pass it on to you. And you take it in your heart to wherever you're going, to the United States, to England, and you take it there. So the temples are passing on their knowledge, their wisdom, and their energies to you.
Beautiful.
Today.
Beautiful. You talked about sacred geometry. One of the aspects I find really interesting is the Fibonacci sequence and how it appears everywhere in nature. So does it also appear in the making of the temples?
There are some people that are working on sacred geometry. We have got our own sacred geometry through Christine's sacred cards, which we produce, and now we're going to put it also as ebook. Because every vibration, as we know, when you do the hertz experiment, you put a sheet and you put some powder and you put hertz, it creates a sacred geometry. The temples are creating sacred geometry because each temple is vibrating to its own hertz. So it's moving fast or low. That fastness or low vibration creates a sacred geometry. So every temple has got its own sacred geometry, it's got color and its own tone. Marvelous, no?
It is marvelous. And you can feel it. I've already visited quite a few. And it's really evident for me, I can detect it straight away.
And as you enter and you discard anything that you know about the temples, anything that somebody told you or read and so on, but the best thing is to enter there with the heart open and let the temples, let the stone speak to you. Then it's your own experience, it's not somebody else.
Do you think that science is catching up with spirituality?
Oh, yes, very much so. I think we are starting to come to that point of realizing that science and spirituality and God are one thing. You know, God, I'm saying God is the source, is the creator. It's what the prime creator. It's coming up. It's like science fiction and science. Science is catching up with science fiction. No? What science fiction was 300 years ago with Julius Verne and all the other people that wrote about science fiction, and everybody thought that they are mad. The first man on the moon, around the world in 80 days, 1,000 feet under the sea. Today it's fact. They are not anymore fiction or science fiction. And anybody that wrote or read the science fiction realizing that everything that NASA is saying today, or scientists, it's fact. And I think this is happening also in our, spiritual, metaphysical explanation of the temples. Because the temples up to now, they have been explained from a historical, archaeological, and academic point of view. We haven't entered into the science or the metaphysical of these things, but we have to, because without that, we cannot understand what they stand for. And that was my role to do that, to try to say that the temples are not only physical, they are not only stones or shape, they are something else, there is consciousness, there is a frequency, a vibration, that science have to come to terms and realize and marry them and bring them together. Marry them together. There it is.
I love it. And I'm trying to do the same thing with emotions.
Of course.
And emotional intelligence. So do the sites have a certain emotion? Does each site, because each site vibrates at a different frequency?
Yes, so we can say that each site have got an emotion. If you separate that word, they have got E and motion. So it's almost everything that we say today is E and put sort of the computer, electronics and so forth. Today we have got everything is in motion, everything vibrates, everything moves. So everything is in motion, which that motion creates emotion. So everything is emotion. Emotional. So emotion, which comes from motion, because everything vibrates, it moves, it's changing continuously. So everything is the same word. You use the word in different ways, but it's the same.
Okay. And does that have a sacred geometry to it?
Everything.
Because everything does.
Everything is vibrant. Once you have got, it's like music. Music, if you look at the music of the spheres, what he's talking, music of sacred geometry. Because everything in the world, everything that vibrates, that has got a consciousness, it has got a sacred geometry. It has got a sacred color. It has got a sacred symbol. Everything. So even you, if you look at yourself and you take a picture of your aura, it will give you a picture that you don't see. You are a mass of colors that you can see. It depends how you are at that present emotionally, moving or not moving, that aura changes. So it's never fixed. If you're feeling low, down, angry, judgmental, the aura is going to change different colors. If you are more on a higher spirit, it becomes more purple, violet, white, yellow. The more that you go down, the more it's going to show the lower colors.
Yes, and lower would be chaos.
Brown.
In the field.
Yes.
Yes.
In the field.
So in terms of the geometrical patterns, they show up or are more coherent in the higher emotional states.
That's true. It's like in painting. When you have got the spectrum that you use, the color that you use, If you, at one point, you cannot get it right and you get angry and you mix those colors, it becomes brown.
I have done that before. I hit the microphone.
It's good.
Oh, yes. Okay. You referred to source. And I wonder how source relates to sentience.
As I said, we are sentient beings because we are holding the universe in our heart, in our core, which is the source, which means the creator. So we are holding in our core the manifestation, the incarnation, the expression of source in a third dimension reality. In other dimension, it will be different. But here, we can do it this way, through manifesting what we create outside of ourselves. This comes from our source, from that creative sentient source that we are holding the universe in our heart.
Beautiful. And I'm wondering what the language of the light is. Does the universe speak in terms of emotion?
The language of the light is what we are talking, is the color, is sacred geometry, is sound. These people that built these temples knew about these things, and they could heal themselves, could lower or raise their vibration through sound, because sound then lifts you. So if we are playing the right music at the right hertz of 3 what 3 4 20 whatever it is,
the 432.
The 432.
The coherent.
Yes, the 432. Then it gives us a lifting experience. If we go to beyond to the other type of music, the rock music and so on, which is not according to this vibration, then we feel angry, aggressive, awful, discordant, and so forth. So it's up to us to actually know what suits us to raise our vibration. Everything, the environment, the countryside, the trees, the colors, the clothes that we wear, everything can lift us to a vibration. Because everybody has got a vibration to help us to do that.
And that's how I think of emotions, because I sort of see them as a biochemical feedback system that are showing me my vibration all the time in relation to this thing or that thing or that over there. Do you think that our sentience is actually like a sort of a GPS?
A GPS. My wife, Christine, does quantum infinity, which is basically it's through an application that enters into the auric field, into your auric field. So it connects to your auric field, and this application she can see what's going on in your aura, from your chakra, from your organs, from your mental state, from your emotional, everything. So it's because it's sentient. Because it's sentient, it's connect with your auric field. As this laptop and this application is sentient, because it's connecting with something that is alive. And it takes it in and shows what needs to be dealt with, what repair it needs to be done. So it is. It's part and parcel of the whole thing,
Beautiful. I've so enjoyed speaking to you, and I love reading your books, and I've also read them to my children.
Wow.
And I think you're a genius for making this material relatable to all ages.
Thank you. Thank you.
So well done to you.
Thank you.
Do you have anything else you'd like to add to the conversation?
Oh, no, I'm going to have a drink now and have a rest.
I've picked your brain, quite a lot today, so I really appreciate your time and your effort.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure and it was an honor.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.